BraveFathers.com.
Welcome to the Brave Fathers Show. And now, the prophecy.
Yes, thank you for joining us. This is John Paul from BraveFathers.com. Thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to the Brave Fathers Show. We are expecting Jason to join us any moment. But in the meantime, let's have this conversation. Let's talk about a very important question. Are family courts corrupt? Now, we've had conversations with people from all over the world. And everywhere we go, we hear a similar story. People say the family courts are corrupt. We are being told that specifically it's corrupt against fathers. However, a lot of people have a similar complaint on the mother's side. So a lot of mothers also say that the courts are corrupt. They complain about the system in general, and they say that the whole apparatus is not fit for the purpose. So our family courts corrupt. And more importantly, for the sake of our brave fathers, can fathers actually win? So my perspective is like this. So years ago, when I was in court, I faced all these things that everybody faces, including false allegations, the lies, solicitors ignoring what needs to be done, including my own. And overall, I did feel I was being mistreated. That was the feeling I got. When I think about it objectively, I still think it's the same thing, that the whole system was not fair, and the way the court was set up and the way things worked were not fair to me as a father. Now, as I've mentioned before, the first time I said I was seeking a live with arrangement, a shared live with arrangement, everybody laughed. They literally laughed. And I've read stories and spoken to people who had similar experiences where they said they were looking for their child to also live with them rather than just have visitation or spend time with. I was told that, I think he's about to join us. I was told that, one second, let me make sure he's ready. Oh yeah. Can you hear me, Jason? Yes, can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, am I loud and clear?
Loud and clear.
Thank you for joining us, but you're in trouble because you're a bit late.
Sorry for being late. Sorry for being late.
We'll forgive you. We forgive you. We are a forgiving tribe. But
I,
thank you for
I like
being
to think
here,
I
Jason.
like to think that I'm never actually late. I arrive exactly when I'm supposed to.
So it was predetermined.
Yeah, well, it
Thank
wasn't
you.
predetermined. No, it was accidental. It was accidental, but yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. We are all happy
I'm
that you
happy
are
to be
here.
here.
How are you
Always happy
doing,
to be
sir?
here.
Yeah, good to see you. So I was just talking about my experience in family courts, because today we are talking about whether the courts are corrupt or not and whether
Yep.
fathers can win. So I was mentioning that when I first said that I wanted a shared live with arrangement, everybody laughed in the courtroom, like literally laughed. It wasn't like even like a giggle or something, like they found it funny. And I've had conversations and read about fathers who had a similar experience where they would say something that implies, they are essentially a parent who is looking to put in at least an equal amount of time with the child,
Yep.
and they would find it funny. And women complain that the courts are unfair to fathers, to mothers. Fathers complain that the courts are unfair to fathers. So today we are going to weigh all those things and look at what the truth is. And so I'm starting with my experience, because when I went to court and I said that, they laughed. So I had to go back to court, because at that time I was working with a solicitor who I had to get rid of. But when I came back later, there were still issues. However, this time I was prepared, right? So I knew that a lot of procedure would not be followed,
Yep.
and I knew that they would assume, especially if I don't want to go too deep, but they would assume I don't know anything about what I'm doing, right? So I just acted that way. So that essentially led to an appeal, right? And it wasn't because I set them up; they essentially set themselves up because they were acting in a way that I would argue was unjust, and I must have been right because else the appeal would not have been allowed, and then consequently I would have been able to win, the following the hearing after the appeal was allowed. So you could argue. I'm not jumping to a conclusion that it's corruption, but it was definitely an irregularity, and it was unjust the way it
Yep.
was approached. Right, for obvious reasons, I'm not allowed to give specifics here.
Yep.
But that was my experience. So if I had, the thing is, if I didn't know what I was doing, just like now, a lot of fathers don't have someone like you or have someone like me helping them, because a lot of lawyers, I think, lawyers, people say they are corrupt and so on and so forth. I say it's 50-50. But the problem with lawyers is that even if they want to tell you she's going to give you false allegations, they
Yep.
can't, because I think that would be against the code of ethics, right? Because they are not fortune tellers. They cannot technically predict the future, even though we know the false allegations are coming.
Yep.
If they say to you, she said, my lawyer said there's going to be false allegations, now they are liable, because it's like, what evidence are you basing it on? In reality, we know that the false allegations are coming. But if the lawyer says it, that puts them in trouble. So whether that's corruption or not, that's another thing that we can debate. But
I
what do
think
you think?
in some cases the corruption has been normalized, so it's so deep and it's so institutional that they teach the corruption as if it's normal. Does that make sense?
So
So
give
when
an
you go,
example of that.
well, you could, like, for example, you go in. Okay, so look, I can give you two. I'll give you an example, right? So there's father separates from the mother, mother of his child. We get that. That's generally what happens. That's not unusual, yeah. Half the country has been through something similar. So despite that separation, the father continues seeing the child, yeah. Weekends,
Yes.
midweek visits, whatever. Some overnight stays as well, yeah. In other words, and this is important, the child continues to have the relationship with both parents, yeah, and there's no court involvement. It's brilliant,
Yes.
right? But eventually, as things happen, disagreements start, right? Things start falling out. Life events happen. She gets a new boyfriend, he gets a new girlfriend, right? So because of this, the two adults sort of, where they were working together and co-parenting, their negotiations are falling down, and their parenting, it goes to war. Yeah. So then the father applies to court to formalize the arrangements and try and get some routine and structure back in place, right? During the safeguarding process, allegations are raised against him by the mum.
Yes.
Right. But
Yes.
domestic abuse, coercive control, historical stuff, right? The sort of things that we frequently see in family court. But CAFCAS conducts their safeguarding call, and they say, they've prepared a letter and everything, and often with recommendations like this, you'd expect allegations have been raised, but because, and this is important, because the father has already got ongoing contact, a fact-finding hearing may not be necessary. This is what's on the report, yeah? It may not be proportionate. So because he's already got contact established, they're saying forget the allegations because they're not serious enough, because she's already got contact happening. They've already worked through that shit. They're not going to bother doing a fact-finding, because let's move straight on to Section 7. Let's keep the status quo going, yeah? That's what they do. So in simple terms, what they're basically saying is the system moves forward, contact continues, the child continues seeing their father, and the relationship remains intact while the adults argue about everything else, right? Which, when you think about it, sounds fairly sensible. But another dad, another father, exactly the same, another separation, another child. But this time, one small thing changes before the court case even begins, and that is contact stops. Yeah, completely stops. No weekends, no visits, no nothing. Eventually, the father applies to court, and during that safeguarding process, something interesting happens. Guess what? Very similar allegations appear: domestic abuse, coercive control, historical incidents, almost identical to the previous case, right? But suddenly, the recommendation looks really different. It looks more like the letter says something along the lines of, because allegations have been raised, the court should consider a fact-finding hearing under Practice Direction 12J. And until those allegations are determined, direct contact may not be supported. Now, fact-finding hearings take time, a long time, months, years, yeah? Which means during that time, that father is not going to have little or no contact with his child. The relationship then slowly weakens. And the longer it goes on, the harder it is to rebuild that bond. The pattern, so it is a pattern. So here's the question you have to ask is, the allegations look similar, the families look similar, the situations look similar, so what actually changed?
So let's look at it from another angle, because a question that arises could be that in the first instance, if the allegations were that serious, then surely contact would have stopped. So
If the
Kafka
mum's saying that he's that much of a bad person, he's so much of a scary person, then she would have stopped contact straight away. But she didn't stop contact.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So in the second scenario, because she did stop contact,
Yep.
does that not give weight to the allegations?
It gives weight. It gives weight to the allegation. I suppose it does, because she's now saying that she's fearful because that's why she stopped contact. But what?
Okay.
The
question.
Go on.
Go on. So the question here is that a function then of the court being unjust, or are they just following what the situation on the ground is?
Well, this is it. So, well, does the just because one parent can cope with it differently, so one parent can accept what's happened to them and can accept that this is abuse and accept that's how it is, and they won't have any contact with the dad, don't like him at all, don't speak to him, but they'll make sure contact continues. The other one just stops contact straight out.
I agree with you on that.
Which one's worse?
Yeah, I agree. But the question is, what if the allegations are true? Is it not sensible on Kafka's and therefore the court to be cautious in such a situation?
Why would they not be cautious in the first situation? Because contact
the
was already
parents-
established.
Yes, but also they are trusting the parent, in this case the mother, to make the judgment. So if the mother has made a judgment because she's involved in the situation and she has accepted that despite the allegations, despite the negative things, that the father should still see the child. So Kafka trusts that.
But Kafkas have the right and the ability, if there's a safeguarding risk, to stop contact and override the mother.
Correct. But why should they override it if the allegations based on the mother's behavior do not affect contact?
Because where's the continuity? Where's the consistency? Why is one accepted? Why is one accepted?
Yes,
Go on.
Because so for example, let's say I tell you, listen, don't eat this bowl of rice because there is a worm in it or something. And then you see me eating from the rice. I put myself a nice, good helping. And you're like, wait a minute, if there's really a worm, why are you eating the rice?
Yep.
And then you see another person with another bowl. He says, no, don't eat it because there is a worm. And the person is not eating it. Will you believe the person who is eating or not eating?
Well, this is the point. Well, for me, it's not about believing. It's two similar situations, two similar examples, almost identical allegations. One contact continues, one contact stops, and you have to do a fact finding, and that can take ages. It's going to take ages.
No, I agree. Listen, I'm not disagreeing on the effect of it, right? And I know for a fact that many allegations, most are false. I believe most of them are false.
Yeah.
And where they are not false, they don't matter. They are the past, and both parents are wrong, essentially. And either way, I don't see most allegations being raised as valid. I would argue that even the courts over time have not seen many as valid. That's why they keep escalating in nature. They get more and more serious to the criminal level if they were to be prosecuted, which of course often is found out that they don't meet the criminal standard. my point is that when Kafka is being told that the father is the danger to the child,
Yeah.
and the mother acts on that claim, then the Kafka is more or less reasonable to say, you know what, the mother has stopped contact.
But
Let's
then But then
trust what
I've got
she's
friends.
saying.
I've got school friends, Alison. I've got friends that who the different type of women. They will take the abuse off the bloke. Yeah, they'll take the abuse off the bloke, and they'll protect the children from that abuse. And the children won't see any of it, won't hear any of it, won't experience any of it. And then they'll continue making sure contact happens, continually getting abused from the bloke because they think they're doing the right thing for the child. I think for
No,
me,
mhm.
it's like one case exists, one case contact already existed in so that's letting it go forward. In the other case, it had already been stopped. So that raises for me a really, really, really uncomfortable question, which is the system responding primarily to the allegations or to the situation it finds the case when it arrives in it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I
So
agree. You see, mhm.
so because if the key difference is simply whether contact has already been stopped, then the most important move in the entire case may be before court's even started. So if you can maintain
Yeah,
contact, and I find this a lot, if you can maintain contact, if you've got contact established before you get into court, you're going to continue that contact. Yeah, 9 times out of 10, you're going to continue that contact.
yeah.
If not, then you're going to jump through the hoops and you've got to jump through hoops of fire. But then
Mhm.
the allegations, like people put up with shit because they think they're doing the right thing. I got beaten up by my ex-wife. I thought I was doing the right thing by getting beaten up. I think I was, that's what it was. I didn't, I wasn't perfect, but I didn't report it. Men don't report being abused. That doesn't mean they're not being abused. That doesn't mean that things aren't happening. Does that make sense? It doesn't mean they're not victims. But then to be recorded as a victim is near on impossible.
I agree. You see, so because what I would argue that what you just described is a loophole, perhaps an intentional one, that stands to reason. The issue is I believe when the roles are reversed. Let's say if a father stops contact with a mother, and I spoke about this last week, the courts are
Yeah,
not comfortable with that. The public is not comfortable with that, right? So let's say if a father says, look, the kids are not to see the mother and calls the school will still let the mother see the kids.
yeah.
If the mother calls the school and says the children are not to see the father, there's
Stopped.
a 50% chance, not 100%, but there's a 50% chance that the
They'll
school
support it.
will support it. There's a 100% chance they'll be uncomfortable, right,
Yeah,
with the idea.
yeah.
So there is a bias, but the question is that corruption though? Do you know what? Before we continue, I actually have a dictionary, so we can we can see what corrupt means, and let's see whether that definition fits the courts. How do you spell corrupt? I can't even. You see,
COURP.
I'm so good. I can't even spell corrupt.
COR corrupt. CORUP.
I think it's double C-O-R. How did I spell it here? I put two R's. So we have a dictionary. Oh, it's two R's actually. So corrupt, adjective. Willing to act dishonestly in return for money or personal gain. So that's one definition. So
Right.
willing to act dishonestly in return for money or personal gain. And the second definition is evil or immoral. And third, of a written work or computer data made unreliable by errors or alterations. And the verb is to make corrupt, right? And then very
Right.
quickly we have corruption, dishonest or illegal behavior, the action of corrupting. So, does any of these definitions fit our dearest family courts?
I think so. Yeah.
Which one
Because
and why?
because the court is not decisions aren't made. Decisions aren't made in court. They're predetermined. What's the point of a court what's the point of a court when it's meant to be justice? When you can't go to court and you're not getting justice, that's not justice. You don't get justice from family court. So, and if it's generally who makes the first phone call, where the children live when you're going into court in the first place, will remain the sort of status quo. I think corruption is institutionalized, so it's normalized, and it's so deep, and it's so embedded in what they do that they don't even understand. They don't even believe it's corruption anymore. They don't even believe it's now. Look, a banana. If you look at a banana, what a banana actually is, no one, the majority of people will not know what a banana actually looks like. Yeah, they think it's a yellow thing that you peel and you eat. Yeah, but that's not a real banana. That's a genetically modified banana. Yeah, that's a banana that we've all come accustomed to, and that's what a real banana has got like black sort of grapey seeds in the middle of it, and it's got got skin on it, so but it's got a black stuff in the middle of it. So you Google it, you'll see it, and that's what a real banana looks like. It's sort of black, and it's like so. That's how far we've come. So we now believe, take that into the analogy I'm trying to say. We believe that's what a banana is. People go to work in the court for the government or whatever. They get brainwashed, and there's a certain type of people that work in these types of things that they're easily brainwashed. Yeah, they're easily influenced. Yeah, they're going to go if they're going to work for a government. They're going to be like the hallway monitor. They're going to be the person that does everything to the best of their ability. Like a train driver, yeah, or a train ticket driver when they're checking your tickets or on the train. That sort of person, yeah. I don't really like them that much at all because their job's worse. The job's worse, yeah. They're literally they've got a meaningless job, and then they try and take so much power from it. If that makes sense. And then, but like if they go back to how corruption, they don't realize it's corruption because they get told they're doing it for another reason. So all the kids that go missing, they don't know that some of them will have ended up at Epstein Island. People don't know that they're taking these kids and put them into foster care, and these kids are going into foster care and then getting taken away and then ending up wherever else. Does that make sense? And that's what happens. That's what happens. And look at the got to be careful how you say it and whatever because of reasons, but look at the things that go on in England in the politics with trafficking of infants. Yeah. Am I making sense? You sticking with it?
With the what?
Trafficking of children. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and what's happening with Epstein and all that sort of stuff. Look at what goes on. They don't people. That's where these kids are coming from. They're coming from the care system. They're coming from the government are all in on it, but they don't realise the people who are at the grassroots level, like the CAFCAS officers, they don't realise. They don't believe, or they don't believe that the children what they see. They don't believe when they see these things in the paper, or whatever. That's not true. That's not real. That's a made up story. But then the reality is what it is. That makes sense. That's what it is. That's the reality.
I've seen horrible things in my life, so I know these things are true. You know, and it's part of the reason why we are here today. And what's very strange is the degree of opposition to any attempt to expose it.
Yeah.
You know, but when it comes to family courts, you see, the trouble I have with courts, my stance, a lot of people don't like my stance, is that I do believe there is a bias against fathers. And by the way, if you just joined us, we are discussing whether family courts are corrupt or not. If you agree with us, leave a comment. If you disagree with us, also leave a comment. Let's see what your view is. But my stance is that the courts just reflect the culture, right? I lately, I've been spending time on X, and it's very interesting to see how many males actually believe that males are the perpetrators of abuse and domestic abuse, and females should be free of that oppression. There is a book that I might just read by Rachel Wilson called Occult Feminism. And the reason why I'll put it on my list, it's not a priority, but I have a long reading list. But one of the reasons why I want to read that book is, in my early encounters with feminism, I saw a lot of occult stuff. I don't want to go into that story now. In fact, one of the feminist meetings that I infiltrated as part of my research was literally about witchcraft. Like literally, that was the meeting. It was a feminist meeting to discuss witchcraft.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
But what I found interesting was half of the time they were talking about dick, and I was like, I thought your guest said she was a lesbian. Why is she talking about all kinds of dicks all the time? So I was like, all right, I'm not going to try to make sense of it.
They're so easy. They're
But I remember,
so easily distracted, aren't they?
sorry.
These women are so easily distracted. These women are so easily distracted.
Yeah, but it was interesting that it was all about occult, witchcraft, and I've seen it in my real life. Like I've read a lot of occult books in my life before I knew the word occult.
Yeah,
Because of my experience of what I went through. So I read like black magic books,
yeah,
satanist books. Like I was a child, I love to read. So anytime I see a book, I just pick it and read it. Like
fair.
I was like a machine reading. That was my escape from the reality I found myself in
Yeah,
growing
that's fair.
up. But
Good.
so I've read a lot of feminist literature, a lot
Mm-hmm.
before I even knew it was feminism, right?
Yeah,
Because they have a way of infiltrating societies and
yep,
systems,
yep,
And so when Rachel Wilson wrote a book about, and that's Andrew Wilson's wife, in case you're familiar, uh, you often see him on the Whatever podcast. I've
yeah,
had a little argument with him. He had a big argument with Locario, who was also a guest on the Brave Fathers show. A huge argument. I don't think Andrew Wilson was right. That's besides the point. But Rachel went into how the origins of feminism were
yeah,
tightly knit with Satanism and occult and what's it called, Luciferianism and other,
yeah.
dark magic.
It's all to do with being like making the family nuclear, and making more money out of the other half of the population. So they were only taxing the men, weren't they? Only men were going out to work. So by giving women
Yeah,
liberty and freedom to go out to work, they can tax the other half of the population as well.
yes. So the reason why I raised this is obviously our family courts now sees feminism as a genuine and legitimate philosophy, right?
Well, yeah, they teach
Which
it at
it's
schools.
not.
They teach it at schools.
Yeah. So I think that's what brings about the dishonesty, because what happens is, in order to defend the feminist narrative,
Yeah,
everything is skewed. So you give examples of allegations.
yeah,
Um, I've seen allegations, mothers do, I've seen fathers like do things that, I think I mentioned last time, one of the allegations was he let the kids play outside at the age of 4 and 6.
yeah.
And it's like every
That's not
estate
it.
has got like 2-year olds like playing outside. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I was doing the
the,
same when I was a kid. When
the,
I was a kid growing up, I was being left to. I was out of the house. Summer holidays, out of the house at 8 o'clock in the morning. Back home by 6 o'clock when Mum finished work. I had to be
exactly.
out the whole day.
So if a mother did that, there's no way they would say, "Oh, you can't see your kids because they were
Of
playing
course not.
outside." Or if a mother shouts on a kid, or if he beats a kid, right? It's not
Yeah,
really taken seriously. The social services, if they lock in on a mother, though, they do lock in, so I'll
yeah,
give them that. But it's not always a good thing. I don't always agree with it. And on another time, we'll talk about that too.
yeah,
But my point is, they believe in this gender war.
yeah,
So what happens is, a lot of fathers are at a disadvantage for two reasons. One, the fathers subconsciously actually agree with the agenda. They
yeah,
don't realize it, but a lot of times they agree with it. They act like perpetrators. I'll
yeah,
give you an example. I'm going to make her feel safe. Why the fuck do you feel the need of making her feel safe?
yeah.
How do you know? Because I know women who are criminals, right? How do you
Yeah.
know she's not just scouting your house to go and tell her real boyfriend to come and
To
rob
rob
you?
you. Yep, yep, yep.
How do you know that? So, but we
You
are
don't do. You
so
don't. You don't. You don't.
focused. So we are so focused on thinking the women are good and we are bad,
Yep.
that we don't realize that we are actually perpetrating the whole thing. So when we go into court, yes, it's not fair because you accept the court to transcend it. But in reality, not in the way it should be, the way it is
Yep.
that the court will only be reflecting the societal values.
True.
And
True.
not just the societal values, the values of the people who rule the society. What do you think about that?
Well, not very high. Not high at all.
Say that again.
Not high at all. People the values of people that run the country are not high at all. They've not got high values at all.
Well, but they value. You see, because I've been thinking about this, and I've had a lot of interesting conversations, and the problem is, at this stage, it's
Yeah.
so bad that most men won't even accept that they are wrong about dating, for example, right? Because, and always bring it back to dating, because the reason why is that if you date the right way,
It should.
you will not end up in these situations. That's the reality. The one time I went against my own rules, I paid the price. And I remember, I'll not say the exact words today, but I sent a text to my friend, like, basically, she needs to go. He was, all right, I'll see you tomorrow at work. Years later, she didn't go, but I knew she had to go. You understand what I'm saying?
You were setting your boundaries.
Yes, but the one time I broke my own rule, I paid for it, you know, which is good, because at the end of the day, it is what it is. That's the life I chose, is the life I've been given, you know.
True.
But but it was a tough lesson to learn. And but the way the society teaches males to date is like, oh, you have to court her, you have to make her feel safe, prove yourself to her, impress her. But all that is setting you up for abuse. You with me?
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong. I'm just trying to think about it. You're not wrong at all. You're not wrong at all.
Yeah, and then when you go into court, people in court are human beings just like you. The judge you are seeing is simping for some bit somewhere else.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Perhaps, probably more than you are, because he knows what the law is. Maybe he's even more scared. You understand? Or maybe he's an abuser. Either way, but they are human beings just like you and me. So, are the courts corrupt? I would argue towards
I think
yes,
they're set up. They're doing exactly what they're designed to do.
Exactly. But I want to show you a video. Before we continue, let me show you this video. And so let's watch it through. It's about 1.5 minutes, and then you tell me what you think.
I'm honestly sick of hearing people say that family courts are corrupt, CAFCAS are corrupt, social services are corrupt or biased. And it's scaring parents who are already anxious and going through one of the hardest times of their lives. I'm going to clear this up once and for all. But first, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Nina Baker. I'm a Mackenzie friend and I help people going through family court without a lawyer. So if you need some support, there's a link in my bio to book, and my one-to-one appointments at the moment start at just £40. So yes, the system is flawed. The system's slow. And it can be so frustrating, but constantly telling people it's rigged or corrupt just creates fear. And fear makes people panic, say the wrong things, and lose focus on what actually matters. And that's the best interests of their child. What helps is understanding the process, knowing what CAFCAS actually do, how safeguarding works, what the court is really looking at, and how to stay calm, factual, and child-focused. Fear doesn't help your case. Clarity, evidence, and consistency does.
Was that £40 per phone call? For a phone call? For an initial phone call?
Yeah, that's where it starts from.
It's just, goodness me. People want to phone me because they need help. I'm not going to charge them 40 quid because I need help. Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. This is what for me, she's just blowing smoke up. She's just blowing smoke there. She likes the sound of her own voice. Yeah. I quite like the sound of my own voice as well. But I don't like, if I'm going to talk, I ain't going to talk like that. Like fear, you tell people the truth, right? You tell people the truth, right? Which is how I get people through family court. I tell them how it really is, not what the best interest of the children. Because the best interest of the children, that doesn't stack up for nothing. If the judge wants to use that, then they'll use it. If they don't want to use it, they won't use it.
That's true.
If you don't, they will pick elements of the law that they want to use when they want to use it to suit their narrative, to fit the narrative, to meet the conclusion that they want.
That's true.
It is corruption. It's if it's not corruption, then what is it? If you can have finding of facts hearings completed, yeah. And I've had it done multiple times with my people. Like the judge hasn't believed everything they've been saying. So rather than take some bits credible and none of it, some bits not credible, they just wipe the slate clean and say none of it's true. I don't believe a single word you said about anything, right? And everything that your ex has said is the truth. Even the lies, when I say that's the truth. So then the person then my client then has to get his head around the fact he's going to have a Section 7 done now, and if he doesn't go into Section 7 saying to the CAFAS officer that he was wrong, he accepts that he was beaten up, blah blah blah, whatever, he accepts all the allegations that are against him, even though they're not true, and they can't get the amendment, and they don't go into that meeting saying that. Then unless even though that's not true, they have to say it's true. That's corruption. That's corruption. You're making people lie about something you're turning in lies into truth. That's corruption.
So I think, because I had an argument with, I put some comments and she pissed me off on under her video, and I found her responses very condescending, and she was talking about a lot of fathers get 50-50. So she doesn't know what the corruption is about. How do you would you respond to that?
There's an argument out there that did you say she's one of them ones that say that dads get 50-50 because they're the ones saying that parents are
She actually
alienation.
said it because I responded to her video with some comments, and she basically, similar to what we are saying here, she said essentially doesn't know what I'm talking about because a lot of the fathers she works with get 50-50. So she doesn't see where the corruption is.
She's reverse psychology. Basically, she's pitching herself as saying that she can get her dad. She's pitching herself as saying that she can get her clients 50-50 because the courts aren't corrupt because I'm getting most of my clients 50-50. So you lot are all stupid and I'm doing it right. And she's got a point. She's got a point because I say the same. That I say if you know what dance you've got to dance. If you know the outcomes before the outcomes even started, if you know the outcome before the races even started, which I generally do, then you can predetermine what you need to do to get to the end point. So if she can she can see what I can see, then she can tell her clients without giving them legal advice what would be the best suited if you said this, what happens if you said that, what happens if you say this, what happens if you say that.
But you see, the issue here is this, because I think that video appeals to female clients because here's the difference. When let's say the father gets 4 hours every 2 weeks, supervised contact, right? Every fortnight, 4 hours.
Yeah.
The father will say it's corrupt. The mother will also say it's corrupt. The father will say it's corrupt because the contact is not enough. The mother will say it's corrupt because she will say because it's too much.
Yeah.
You understand? Because to a woman or a female, zero contact is the justice.
Yeah.
Based on her own criteria.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when females get outcomes where contact with the father is limited, and it's in such a way that she can choose not to show up. She will say traffic, this, that, the other.
Yeah.
She thinks she has won. And any sort of accountability turns women off straight away, right? In our system, I'm not saying everywhere within this system.
Yep.
Especially if it's accountability to a man, like that is what they hate the most, right? So why should I be on time? It's just him, right? They have so low regard for the father.
Yeah.
So but again, I think it still comes back to the fathers. I have seen kids more than once act out in a playground, right?
Yep.
And I'm proud to say I don't have such problems with children. I don't have children acting out anywhere with me.
Yep.
Never had, never will.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why. These fathers will be like, if you don't stop, I'm going to call mommy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're already devaluing yourself as a father. You're already telling the child, my word is not as valuable
it's not
as
important
mother's
enough.
word.
I need to get your mum to tell you off because what I'm saying, I'm not important enough. So let's go get your mum who is important. So she'll tell you off.
And I've seen this on multiple occasions. The first time I saw it, I was like, what's wrong with this man? Because he had the look of pride on himself doing that as if he's being this progressive father, which he is. That's the progressive way.
Yeah.
But that's how males devalue themselves. So how if because he will end up in family court once he's made enough money for her to be like, okay, I'm ready to go now.
Yeah.
Why does he expect the court not to treat him the same way he has treated himself? You know, and I struggle with, because people say I'm not compassionate, and so I'm like, I'm struggling with the compassion. It's true, I'm not compassionate if that regard, because I can feel compassion for a man who accepts, you know what, I was wrong, I devalued myself. Because
Yeah.
I had to accept that about myself, because I was devaluing myself. But you understand, but if you stand by, oh yeah, but I was doing the right thing, that's what society says. Since when do men follow society?
Sheeple.
And men are not supposed to be. A man means you follow your own way
Yep.
and you do what you choose to do. And you have a value system. Of course, you learn from others, you contribute you when it's necessary, you
Yep.
stay away when it's necessary, and so on and so forth. But you don't follow the society. If I choose not to rob my next door neighbor, it's not because of society, it's because I decided not to do it.
This is it.
Yes,
When you've had
I
enough, when
know
you've had enough,
there's
you've decided to call it off. It's when you've had enough.
yeah, and I know there's consequences, but
Yep.
many men say, you know what, I'll deal with the consequences. I will still do what I want to do.
Yep.
You understand what I'm
You're right.
saying? And that's how you
Yep.
have to act. You have to evaluate yourself and evaluate what you're doing. But the unfortunate thing is, boys from childhood are taught to abandon their agency and to always give their power to
Yep.
females.
Yep. Yeah. I
So,
mean, I
so
taught
when you
that.
go
I
to
taught that from a
court,
young age. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so when you go to court, the court is just reflecting that. So, and I'm saying this is because I'm so angry with people talking about systemic change, but you won't change what you are doing.
This is it.
You know, it's like Jordan Peterson. I don't agree with everything Jordan Peterson says, and the reason why I don't agree with everything is he's still an academic. So academics know a lot of this in theory, but not in practice.
That's it. Yep.
But
Yep.
I agree with him when he says, if you want to change the world, clean your room first.
Starts
Start
with
by
yep.
cleaning your room.
Starts with you.
It starts with you.
Everything starts with you. Everything starts with us.
Yeah. So the system will only change if there is enough men. Look, even feminism. That's why I was quoting Rachel Wilson's book. She said many times, the feminists have said, which is true. If not for the men, they wouldn't have passed the suffrage.
Yep.
It was males who voted it all in. It wasn't females. You understand
I
what I'm
mean, I think it
saying?
was you I was speaking to. I think it was you that I was speaking to a few weeks ago when we said about if we went to pull the plug on feminism now, we could. Men gave feminism to women, we gave it to them, and if we
Yeah.
were to pull it out, if we were to pull it back of them, take it back of them, and say it doesn't exist anymore. See you later. You got to do your own thing. That's what they have to do. That's what they have to do, and we'd show them that they're the weaker gender. Yeah, because we are the more superior gender, and that's how it is. That's how it should be.
Exactly. So the thing is, we've created this structure or lack thereof.
Yep.
You understand?
Yep.
We have a society. You see, the thing about United Kingdom is
Yep.
we have a system that was built 200 years ago, 300, 400, 500 years ago till
Yep.
today, right?
Yep.
But at that time, the
It was
structure was such that, and to be fair, it was still a structure that took advantage of men, because most men had to do hard labor, mining, plowing the fields, military, as they still do today, but under much harsher conditions. And people don't know this, but there was a time where if a woman was accused of a serious crime, her husband would have to go on trial first before the woman. This is
Wow.
before women had the right to vote and all that, because the view was that he had the economic power, so he might have coerced her to do the crime. She might be doing it at his behest. So
Fair.
this bias is not new. You understand? But the
Yep.
problem is, when you follow society, you don't think for yourself, so you don't examine the situation that you find yourself in, and you just follow it.
You follow. You go in with the majority, aren't you? You end up going with the majority.
And the majority is always wrong.
Yeah, because
Except when
they're all fed by the media, by the box in front of them, by the TVs,
yes,
by the radios.
with exception being if they listen to me. because I'm
This
the
is it.
truth.
Yes, you can't argue with that. Can't argue with that at all, can you? Can't argue with that in the slightest.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's the problem. You have to examine and think for yourself, make a decision. So when you move with conviction because you know, to the best of your ability, that this is the truth, and you are able to make your move. You see, so the systemic change will never happen. Why should it happen? Why? What is one good reason for the system to change? Can you think of any, Jason? Like,
There isn't any. There isn't any
but
because if you pulled out, if you stopped it from working the way it would, you're destroying a whole industry.
yeah, and
And as
people,
business logic doesn't want them breaking an industry. That's millions of pounds, nearly billions of pounds every year on court fees, on fucking on that sort of shit. There's money in there somewhere.
contact centers, IDVAs, programs,
Everything,
courses, this, that.
drug test, all of it's interlinked, all of it's interwebbed, and it's all there to put more pressure on the man to make the man want to not be around anymore.
Exactly. So the problem, but I want to address something else as well, because I was speaking of this book, Systemantics. I don't know if you can see it properly.
Oh, right, yeah, yep.
And there's something you said in your course, and I want to read one section. So it says, systems develop goals of their own the instant they come into being. Furthermore, it seems axiomatically clear that intra-system goals come first. So in other words, every system has its own goals, and that will be the priority over everything else. And I couldn't find the passage, but it also states essentially that every system exists. Once it exists, it prioritizes its own existence over everything else. And I think you made a similar observation in your course about the family courts. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. But you nailed it on the head. You nailed it on the head big time there. That's exactly. You can't distinguish between. I think. Oh, how can you put it? All I say to you is yes. Quite simply, yeah. You're right with that. I can't put it any other way. I think for me,
Yeah.
you've got. I can see things the way I see things. People are going to disagree with what I see and how I see them, but that's fine. They can disagree with them if they want to. That's their right to do that. I know what I know, and people will see what they want to see when they want to see it. It only becomes light apparent to them once something, a penny drops. Something has to happen. Something has to happen. That has to have awakening. Something has to happen for them to see that it is the way it is. I've got people who they're saying sit tight. I'm saying to them, no, sit tight. Let your silence do all the talking for you. If they don't want to sit silent, they don't want to sit silent. They want to get involved. They want to know what's coming, and they're pushing. They're making themselves look silly. They're making themselves look guilty more than anything else. But that's because the system's set up to make them look that way. And if they behave that way,
and also,
go.
yeah, and also it's set up that way. And when we have our dear Prime Minister saying, "I'm going to have domestic abuse by half, in the next 5 years or 10 years or whatever," he can't do that because he's not God. But what he can do is he can make the statistics look that way. So now, when you make yourself look guilty, like you said, they can say, we sent him to this and that course. Of course, they get paid thousands per person for each course. And then they'll say, there, we reduced it because we sent 400,000 men. Before this date, there was 200,000 men doing the course. Now there's 400,000 men doing the course. We are double as effective. So the system's own goal to meet those targets would take precedence over the child's welfare. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, well, 100%. You just, again, really good analogy. Really good. You just. But do you pre-write this stuff out? Or does it come off the tongue like that? Does it just come naturally?
Say that again.
Do you pre-write this stuff, or do you have notes, or does it just flow naturally like that?
What all the stuff that I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I make notes, but I write, I read, and I speak my mind. Like, you see, what I do is,
it's good.
I just
poetry sometimes. It's poetry sometimes. The way you talk is sometimes like poetry. Does that make sense? It's like poetry sometimes when you're talking.
Thank you. I'll take that compliment. No, the thing is, listen, I'm passionate. Yesterday I had feminists mocking my profile on X, because it's brave fathers. And they were making fun of it. And I was like, yeah, but I was telling you last time that I know it to get to them is part of
Yeah.
the reason why I chose it. But
Yeah.
part of the reason why I also chose the brave fathers is because it takes a lot to face the kind of allegations we face when we go to court.
Yeah.
You have to be brave. When you are in a room, everybody in the room is getting paid somehow from this, and you are the only one paid.
Yeah.
You're in a room where everybody really, if it's the meeting, if the hearing is shut down now, they are all okay.
Yeah.
You are the only person in the room and the child
Yeah.
who's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? But the child
Yeah.
obviously is not in the room. But everybody else is okay. Everybody else is fine. So it takes a lot of courage to do that. So I want to show the respect to the fathers who do that. So in order to do that, I have to speak my mind.
Yeah.
You see, a lot of times people say, I don't know what to say. Or let's say when I'm on a date with a girl, I don't know what to say. You know what to say, you just don't want to say it because the system has scared you. Because what you
Yeah.
want to say to her is, listen, I want you to take you home and put your legs behind your ears. That's what you want to say to her, but you're afraid. And
Yeah.
it's the same thing with this. When I say what I'm saying, I'm just talking about what I see.
Yeah.
But the problem I'm facing, which is what hopefully I'll figure out soon enough, how to craft the message properly, is that the truth is not acceptable to the men and it's not acceptable to the woman. Because the men don't want to accept their weaknesses, which is our nature,
Yeah.
and the women don't want to accept their lies. Right? So now I'm trying to figure out a message where I can teach men that look, you can win, right? And that's why again I
That's,
like
that's why
your
that's why I use my 5 principles. That's why I use my five principles. Five, like, ownership, be humble, better be pragmatic, offer compromise, and compromise, and I can't remember. Oh, no, that's bad, isn't it? Ownership, be humble, offer compromise, show sacrifice, and prepare to be pragmatic. Do those things selflessly throughout the course of your case. Then you're going to show the court that you're more than capable of being child focused and you're worthy of being in your kid's life.
yes.
Because come.
Yeah. So because you said something, because I had a discussion recently that I decided not to publish for various reasons that I don't want to go into because the person is not here to defend themselves.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was said by the other person is that it's not right that fathers have to show insight. I'm like, it doesn't matter that it's not right. You have to show insight. That's it.
If you
You
don't show
know,
insight,
and
then you're not able to articulate where you've gone wrong. Does that make sense?
exactly. And
There's
the
nothing
truth,
wrong with articulating where you've gone wrong, because it means if you can't
the truth,
articulate where you've gone wrong, you try and minimize doing that thing wrong again.
yes. And the truth is, both parents should be able should have to show insight. It is
Yep.
not fair and it is not right that only men have to do that. But it is not a bad thing. You know, once you get into court, you have to win, and the way you win, you have to understand. Number one, the court will not hold women accountable.
No.
That is not our society. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
The society we live in does not hold women accountable for their actions. Even if they murder a child, they'll still find an excuse for that woman.
Yeah. But they do. They do. You see it in the papers. You see how in the papers how things get they get sold in a certain way. If there's a bloke getting arrested for something bad, it's pitched out in papers as really, really bad, like really like paedophile, whatever. And then it's like a woman does it. It's underage. It's put ribbons on it. If that makes sense.
Distressed mother murders child by
Yeah.
accident. No, distressed mother accidentally deprives child of air.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it literally is. That, and people don't see it unless you actually on the receiving end of it or in the middle of it. They don't see it. They don't see it. They just
Yeah,
don't see it.
and so the way you win in court, the way fathers can win is we have to understand the truth. It is an adversarial system, and you are going against the state. Period. The state is on the mother's side. we can go into reasons why. We've discussed some, but it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, the state is on the mother's side.
Yeah.
Even the judges that want to help you can't help you if you don't help yourself. Because
This
there
is
are
it.
many, many good judges out there. There are.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
they
well,
are limited. They are limited by the system. You understand what I'm
this is
saying?
it. This is it.
Because
There's not enough people doing the jobs, is there? There's not enough people recruiting. They can't recruit fast enough to get jobs to fill the jobs. Basically, no one wants to do the jobs, so they have to get people in from overseas. Because no one in
what
England, no one in England wants to sit there doing that job.
to be the judge?
Yeah, to be a judge, to be a magistrate, whatever.
Yeah. So the problem is, but even when the judge wants to help you, the judge is limited because the appeal court, if they want to, they'll find holes in every judgment.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Not every judgment, but the way things move, it's very easy to find holes in judgments. And on the flip side, I would say that sometimes the appeal courts will cover up for the trial judge if the narrative is to be disrupted.
Yeah.
Because what I can say, sorry, go on.
And that's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. They need to break the chain, the pattern that's being made. That's what they need to break that chain, basically.
There was one judge, I think I've mentioned this before, I have to find that case. He actually said that the allegations were just being used to prolong the case and to take an advantage.
Yeah.
But that was appealed. They said the judge is not supposed to say that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. But they
And
say
that was the
they
ground.
don't care, do they? They do what they want. They literally do what they want.
Exactly.
There's no bigger narcissist in the world. There's no bigger narcissist in the courtroom when you're in the court than the judge.
Well, you see, that the thing is, like I said, I have seen some good judges, some genuinely good judges, and I've seen
Mate,
judges.
it's the same as Greg's. It's the same as Greg's on the high street. You get 3 Greg's on the high street. Yeah, you get 3 Greg's on the high street on the same one high street. You go to 2 of them, first 2 of them, they taste great. Everything's hot, nice, and good. Go to the last one, still stuff on the shelf. It's cold. It's not very good at all. And so you won't go back to that last one again. You just go to the first 2.
No, I'll accept that. But the thing is, you see, a lot of here's what I have observed is that preparation matters a lot.
A hell of a lot. Yeah,
You
hell
have
of a lot.
You have to put dozens of hours at least into your case if you want to win. Or even if you have a lawyer, because you can't afford for a case to be properly worked on before the hearing. Let's say you have 3 hearings. Realistically, I would say if it's an easy case, minimum 20 hours of work, like properly prepare for it.
Right.
If it's a difficult case, you need 40, 50, 60 hours, maybe even more. If there's serious allegations and you really have to be prepared, and especially if you're planning to appeal, you have to put a lot of hours to get like a tiny edge. Do you know what I mean? Like 10 hours gets you like this, like a little bit. Do you get what I mean?
100%.
To move it, to move it to where it needs to be. But if you pay a lawyer, a good lawyer, 60 hours, you're talking £18,000 before you even go to the hearing.
Yeah.
Which most people don't have that kind of money.
Need 9 times out of 10, you don't need half the shit. They don't do what you ask them to do anyway, because they know that they know the system the way. Like I know the system. You need to buy your time and you need to do things gradually. They're trying to find the right timing and place to put in what you want them to put in. If that makes sense.
Yes, and the thing is, you see, because a lot of judges don't. I wouldn't go as far as to say they don't know the law, but many don't know the law as well as they should. They don't know the latest case law often. And
they don't. You're right. They don't.
So a lot of times they are not even aware. I'm trying to be careful not to reveal things. But for example, let's say like Gillick competence, right? So I had a situation, and that was raised. If you read the Gillick case, that's like 100 pages of complex medical and legal jargon.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna read that.
No.
So if a mother says, "Oh, I'm blocking the father from certain medical situations because of based on guilty competence," that's actually inaccurate. But which judge is going to go through that 100 pages for your case that is one in 100? But the reason why I'm saying this is relevant is because now a lot of mothers, and Hannah Spear talks about it, are using a diagnosis to stop contact. They'll say, "Oh, the child is neurodiverse,
Yeah.
divergent, or whatever," and the father doesn't know how to deal with it, and things like that.
When people are using these tools that they think they're helping them to do stuff, 9 times out of 10 they're not helping them at all. Yeah, because they're going into court, they're not knowing what they're talking about, and then the judge will ask them a question, and they don't know the answer because they don't know what words they've written on their own statements. Does that make sense? They just copy and pasted it off a website. So it's like
Exactly, or they use ChatGPT, which is
or
another.
ChatGPT, yeah, all that. But if they can't use if they can't even say the words that are on the paper, then there's a bit of a problem there. Do you know what I mean? Ultimately, I think for me, like life is like full of challenges and whatnot. But I don't think family courts. I think institutionally family court is corrupt, but it's so corrupt that everyone's normalized the corruption now that it's no longer seen as corruption; it's now seen as normal.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, I agree with I agree with that actually, but I'll extend it by saying it's also a reflection of the societal sentiments towards fathers and towards men. You know, it's 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 that reaction when a woman hits a man, the reaction is not to constrain her. I've seen, you see videos, a woman is hitting a man,
Yeah,
whacking him, hitting him. The moment he stands to defend himself, somebody jumps in on him. But they
yeah,
were all happy to stand by and watch him getting kicked in the face, literally, by a
crazy.
female. And I've seen it in real life. And actually, there was a time I intervened, and people wanted to attack me, and I was like, "Look, sir, I'm not the one you should come onto, you know." Uh, 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 and they backed down. But they were happy for the woman to be hitting the guy in the face with a stiletto heels.
Yeah, wow.
Hitting his face, the whole face was bleeding. People were just watching. So I caught her hand. I was like, "Stop that! You can't be doing that." And when the police came, they were like, "Oh, the cameras will surely have seen it." Like the police didn't even want to know. They didn't care.
As if you've done something wrong. As if you were the problem. As if you're the one who caused it all. You're the one who's making the issue in the first place.
That's what I'm saying. But if the society is that way, the
What chance do we
courts
have?
will be that way.
Yeah, exactly.
So so
What chance do we have? If people accept that, then what else do they accept? People accept anything and everything. They accept it all,
yeah.
everything.
I want to read something else from the Systemantics book because it's similar to what you said. It
Yep.
said, and it says systems tend to oppose their own proper functions. Systems tend to oppose their own proper functions. So basically, what he's talking about is that as systems grow, whatever the purpose was that for which it was built, it will actually do the opposite. So when it applies to family courts,
Okay.
you could argue that it's supposed to be for the welfare of the child, but as it stands, it does the opposite by separating the child from one of the parents. What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
I think it does. I don't think there's anything they do in family court that is child focused. I think they do it all to under the guise of being child focused, but then no one actually knows what's child focused and what's not child focused because no one's actually speaking to the children in the first place.
Yeah, and when they speak, I was so heartbroken. I was reading this case, and there was this Kafka's officer who made the report and recommendation that the children should not see the father. But do you know what's most heartbreaking about this?
Oh, go on.
The Kafka's officer had never met the children, never, not even
Never.
on the phone.
Wow.
So she just read the case papers, I probably spoke to the mother, and made a recommendation. And that was heartbreaking.
I
It
bet it
was
was. I bet it was.
heartbreaking
I bet it was. I
to
bet it
read.
was.
Sorry?
I bet it was.
I think you're freezing. Okay,
You
you're
okay?
back. Let me show you. Yeah. You froze for a moment. Let me show you this video. Tell me what you think of this. Ready?
Okay.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah.
Why do family courts favour the mother?
In children's cases, you mean?
Yeah.
They don't favour the mother. I mean, I think that's just a family law myth at the end of the day. What the court will always try to do is keep the status quo. So they will try to keep the routine that the children are used to. And if that means, which in the majority of families it is, that the routine is that mum takes them to school, mum picks them up from school, mum takes them to all the after school clubs, then if the parents separate, chances are the children will stay with the mum. But it's not because the court favours mums over dads, they're just trying to keep the routine that the children have become used to.
The thing that children have become to how soon did it how long did it take them to become used to that routine? There's so many unanswered questions in there. So let's break that routine up there, and let's get the routine living with dad, and just dad looks after him by himself. So I guarantee it, the mum won't let that happen. They won't let that happen at all.
You see, but what when you read this between the lines,
Yep.
what it comes down to is the father is optional.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
If we live in a society that believes we need fathers, I
Which we
wish I
don't.
brought it down. I have a textbook that I was using when I was preparing for my case. It's called
Yeah.
Family Law,
Yeah.
and it actually says that a family doesn't have to be a mother and father and the children. It could be
Not anymore. It doesn't. Not anymore. It doesn't.
yeah, because they've changed the definition to fit the narrative.
Yeah. Yep.
So they actually believe fathers are optional because even if that's the routine, if that's the status quo, if you understood that the father is important, you would not maintain the status quo. You would
No.
change it so that the father spends time with the children and the children spend time with the father. Don't you agree?
Well, yeah. Well, in an ideal world, yeah. In an ideal world, that'd be how it would be. But we don't live in an ideal world. We live in a world where they don't want men being strong. They want men being broken.
And why do you think that is?
Because it takes men that topple governments. It takes men to override power. And if you can't override power, then everyone's going to keep being subservient and do as they're told.
So do you think this trend will dissolve society? And let me add this quickly, because in general, the pattern I see is once the children are separated from the father, the next step is to milk the father for as much money as possible. So obviously, the less time they spend with the father, the more money she gets, right? So that's her incentive as well, financially. Do you think, let's say, if we do this for another 30 years, what do you think will happen?
We won't be doing this for
Assuming
longer, yeah.
we,
That's for sure. That's for sure. I think we'll get cleaned out. We'll get cleaned out. And I think I don't look that. I try not to look that far ahead, but like you'll be fine in 12 months. Yeah, just I don't think that far ahead. I don't try not to think that far ahead. It hurts my head. It hurts my brain.
say that again, because I didn't quite
I try
hear
not to.
what you said.
I try not to worry too much about the future. I try not to think about the future that much. I try and just look after now,
Oh,
and then the future looks after itself.
okay. So what do you think men can do right now to help change the situation?
Just love. Just keep loving people. It's difficult because you're in a difficult situation. You don't want to be. Someone's kicking dirt in your face. You don't want to be showing them love. You want to be showing them a little bit more contempt, or a bit more frustration because it's frustrating. But you have to lead with love. Love always wins. Love always wins. Love always
So
wins.
let me ask you this. I can't remember whether it's in PD12J or somewhere else. So I'll have to look it up where it is exactly. But there is a statute that actually tells judges to look out for one person trying to take advantage.
Yep.
I see it as what they are really saying between the lines is make sure if the father is winning, you push him back a little. But
Yep.
what do you think?
I think it's all subliminal messages. It's all subliminal messages. It's all subliminal. All of it. They're all speaking a different language. They're all speaking a different code. They're speaking everything is a code, from teachers to schools to assistants to everyone. Everyone is speaking a different code, a different language, all for the same thing. And that's scary in itself. That's scary in itself. Because
so. Mhm. So because last year, how many live cases do you know the stats we have now for how many live cases we have in family
10.
courts in the UK?
Oh, it was in the UK in
Yeah.
total.
Yeah.
I would know in total. Not, on average, about 44,000 on average.
Yeah, I think last year at this time it was roughly like 55,000.
Yeah.
So that means what? So at any given, but that's new cases.
Yep.
So that means if one case takes on average a year, that means at any given time there could be between 100 to 200,000 cases live in
Yep.
court, isn't it?
Yep. Say again?
Wow. If in a given year we have over 50,000 cases, it's more than 50,000 a year. I'll have to look at the stats again. But I'm saying at any given time we could have 100,000 to 200,000 cases passing through the family courts at the various stages. So if you have two people in each, that's like 300, 400,000 people plus the children. So at any given point, there's over 1 million people going through that, but it rotates, right? Because every year is a new set,
Yep.
So
All I know is
yeah, it's
this.
sad.
All I know is this: that where there is power, there will be corruption. Where people have got this much power, and when the system is set up the way that it is, there will be corruption. There will be institutional corruption.
So who do you think benefits from this corruption as it stands?
The people
And how?
the people we don't get to see, the people who are pulling the strings, the people whose money we
Yeah,
keep
but
put into their banks, the Rothschilds, the super rich family, all them people.
so okay, but how does a judge benefit, for example, or a magistrate?
He gets paid. They get paid decent wage money each month, £80,000, £100,000. Sit on a bench and say yes, no, and ask a few questions and be intimidating. It's not a bad gig, is it? Not a bad gig, is it? It's all really.
Yeah, but magistrates don't get paid though.
But they still get free coffee, don't they? They get coffee, don't they? They get coffee. They get free coffee. Get to stay warm.
Yeah, but you can go to Salvation Army for coffee.
It's not the same, is it? Not the same environment. You're not the same environment. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's Salvation Army library. No, not the same. Not the same. But yeah, no.
I think some of them do it for the status and for the, because I could swear one of the remote hearings I was in, I have to be careful here, but I think one of the magistrates was entertaining a guest in between, because the camera was off and then it would only come on when they have to speak, and the hair was getting rougher each time. I was like, what's going on here?
You
You
there?
know. Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. Just break up a little bit.
Yes. So I was saying that I had a hearing where the camera was off, except when because you don't see, it was a remote hearing, so you don't see all the magistrates at the same time, apart from the main guy, right?
Yeah.
But each time the camera was back on, that magistrate looked very disoriented.
Okay.
And the hair kept getting rougher. Do you get what I'm saying? So I was like, you have a visitor.
I'm with you.
And so my point is, I think some of them do it for they do it for what do you call it? For the status. I think some do it because they think they're gonna make a difference, and then they get into it and they realize what the system is.
Yep.
I think many of them underestimate what it takes to actually be able to judge a case properly. Because again, I've seen some good judges, So when you see a good judge, it gives you a big
You want to recognize
contrast.
them for being good, definitely.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, and I've had judges that I didn't get what I wanted, but I could tell they did their best. You understand what I'm saying? I could tell from the way they conducted the case, this is the best they could give me because of the system.
Fair
Do
play.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you see the way they conduct cases. So when you look at the judge who is not conducting the case well, and they are known because they have lots of cases and they have You know, you see their
Quiz.
track record, and they build a reputation. You know, and because there's shortage of judges, I think they're allowed to stay in. And you know, so that tells the difference. But so okay. So in conclusion for today,
Yep.
my stance is, you see, it's difficult for me to say the system is corrupt, not because the system is fair, but because I don't think from ground up the system was ever whole. I think from the beginning the system was built in a way that was not meant to favor fathers. You understand
I'd
what
say
I'm
it's
saying?
fair. Yeah, I'd say it's fair. It's been designed in a way that's not supposed to, not helpful, is it? It's not helpful. That's for sure. It's not helpful
Yeah.
in the slightest.
Yes, and I think there are people within the system who are trying to do their best, but they can only go as far as the people are willing to go. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
If right now we become a society of fitness, everybody will be running in the park.
Yep.
But because we don't like fitness, when COVID was here, people were getting angry about people running in the
Not
park,
good. Not, I mean, yeah,
right?
yep.
But they were not
Yes.
angry about pubs being open, because that is, you understand what I'm saying? In
Because
fact, they
it
demanded
suits
it.
the narrative. It suits the narrative. That's why.
Exactly. So my stance is, unfortunately, the courts reflect the society. So the way you win is you understand the system for what it is, and your course is an excellent introduction to that. Court ready in 30 days. So everybody go to the alienated dads channel. The course, I believe, is still available there. Be court ready in 30 days, and it gives you an excellent overview of how the courts work. So once you've got that, you just put in the hours of preparation. Don't just trust your lawyer. Do your own preparation. You know, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Jason. Jason knows the system inside out. He's been doing it for over 15 years. He really is good at it. He will answer the questions that you have, and help you win. I'm here as well. If you need a strategy, if you are, you know, you have to be a little bit more aggressive, but cautious, and you want to have the right paperwork, because I think you agree with me that the papers you draft make a big difference, you
Of
know.
course, yeah,
And
100%, 100%. They do 100%, 100%. Your papers are your solicitors, aren't they? Papers are really
yeah.
important.
So anytime a solicitor tells you, "Oh, I can write a statement in an hour," I think they are bullshitting you, because it takes time to prepare a statement properly in a way that wins. You know, if you just
If
write a
someone's
generic
recording all the
statement,
relevant case law on it and all the relevant fucking arguments that have on it, then yeah, you can take it much longer.
say that again.
If it has all the average statement isn't just about writing a statement; it's about making sure that your law is accurate. If you've got in case laws, so it's making sure that you've got all the right. You've got the case law.
Exactly.
You've got and that takes research. That takes time to understand what the arguments actually were, blah blah. And if it falls into, because it's all done in legally, it's all done in legal terms. So it's all a bit head fuckery, basically.
Exactly. So it takes a lot of work and understanding. So reach out
Yeah.
if you need any help. Jason, is there anything else you want to say before we end it for today?
No, that's all good for me. All good.
All right. So thank you so much. I'm gonna sign us out.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So I'm removing
Yep.
frustration just so I can sign us out. 1 second. Yes. So thank you so much, Jason. So yes, the family courts are not the best place for you to find yourself in. Whether they are corrupt or not, the truth is, as a father, you will face bias. You will find people against you, and you will find a lot of injustice. So reach out, go to bravefathers.com and get the help you need. I'll see you again next week on Wednesday. Take care of yourself, and when in doubt, remember, you are the truth. Take care of yourself, and we'll meet again next week on Wednesday. All the best.
BraveFathers.com.